Hi everyone. Today I'm working on a project that requires a larger piece of wood than what I have. The two choices that you have is to use plywood to do the carving on the X-Carve or laminate the wood together. Well, I really don't want to use the plywood, so being able to laminate the wood together is the only thing that I can do. Now, to be able to do that, when you buy the lumber from the store, oftentimes that straight edge is not real straight. And you really can't do a good job on the table saw. So the only thing that's left is to use a dedicated tool, which is a joiner. Granted, I don't have a joiner, and a lot of hobbyists don't have a joiner either. So the next best thing is to be able to do the router. So today I'm going to show you how to set up the router to be able to joint the wood to be able to, in essence, square it up to join together so you get a nice tight fit. Now overall, this isn't bad. I've got a little bit of a high spot, so I've got a space in here that is a gap. It's tight here, and it's tight in this area. I can't do this on the table saw. I really need a joiner. I don't have a joiner, so what's the next best thing? I do have a router table, and what I'm going to do is show you how to set up the router table to be able to joint these two edges to be able to make a nice tight joint. This is just an edge view showing how the two pieces don't align. To turn your router table into a joiner, you need to have a split fence. Now, even a lot of the small router tables that you can buy at the store will have an adjustable fence, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But what you have to be able to do is change this and be able to pull it out a little bit to be able to accept the wood as you run it through. So what I'm going to do is just be able to pull this out, and I can drop in a couple of small washers that will change that depth to be able to pull this side of the fence out. With the washers installed, you can see how this is pulled out away from the main part of the fence. The next step that I did is I put in this 3/4 inch bit and raised it up where it'd be just a little bit above the height of the wood. And then to adjust this, we're just going to put a straight edge along here and bring this out where it just touches the edge of the bit. So right there is where we want to have it. So when it cuts through the wood will come through here, and then that cut portion will be able to rest securely onto this part. So with that in place now, we can lock it down and we're ready to cut our wood. Now what happens if you don't have an adjustable fence where you can be able to pull this out a little bit? Well, what you can do is just use a thin piece of plywood and put it in and then align it the same way. Of course, clamp it in position and it'll work just fine. When you're pushing the wood through the router table, you want to start out with having the pressure on the right side of the fence. This supports the wood to begin with. As you're running the wood through the router, then you need to shift the weight over to the left side of the fence to support the wood as it comes to the end of the cut. This router table is an old router table that I've had for many years, and I've long since retired it since I built my roll-around large router table. But the one thing I wanted to show you is that even on a lot of these small router tables, you do have the ability to adjust the fence to accommodate what you need to be able to do to be able to turn it into a joiner. After running the two pieces of wood through my router table, I've slid the two pieces together so you can see the results. You can see it's much better than when we started, and now you really can't even see where the joint is. Now it's time to go ahead and glue the two pieces together, and I want to use a good amount of glue to be able to provide a good support and a good tight bond between the two pieces. And as usual, I'm using my finger to be able to spread the glue out to make sure that I get a good coverage. I don't use a brush, just my finger, and it works quite well. I have the two pieces of wood now clamped together. Now you'll notice I also use two pieces of wood as straight edge to be able to clamp down, to be able to help support and keep my project flat. And here's the end result with the wood out of the clamp. I'm actually pointing directly to the line where the joint is, and you really can't see it. And as I pull the camera back, the grain of the wood just takes over and you really can't see where the joint is. And that's the goal. So a successful project. Thanks for watching today. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. Thank you.